A $78 million pool bond brings a crowd to a mayoral debate in Camas. Transportation officials give the public a heads up about some major projects coming to I-5 in Vancouver. And dragon boat racers take on breast cancer. I'm Chris Brown, and this is Clark County Today. Hey everyone, happy Friday to you. The general election, believe it or not, is just over a week away, and 150 people showed up at the Grass Valley Fire Station in Camas this week for a debate between incumbent Mayor Shannon Turk and write-in candidate Barry McDonnell. What part of your work experience qualifies you to be mayor, and why should Camas voters elect you?
I have been working for the City of Vancouver and for local government since 1995 when I received my master's degree. That is state budgeting, that is municipal budgeting at the city level as well as at the county level.
I think the ability to communicate, the ability to bring people together to solve solutions. I do not understand a lot of how that operates, but I do understand that we do have people that are in government that do that. We have our different departments, we have our different we have a city admin that really oversees a lot of this as well.
What are the pros and cons of Proposition 2 in your view? And in your view, was it rolled out too quickly?
There are absolutely pros and cons to the issue. The pros are that this is a proposition that is a compilation of many of the issues that we have heard over the past 3 decades from citizens. We have one shot to get it, and it is your choice. Is this something that you're willing to pay for, that you want? Then vote yes. If it is not something that you're willing to pay for, then vote no.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Proposition 2, and I feel like it was rushed. I feel like it was rushed because I feel like there was the best chance for it to pass this year versus next year when we're going up against the school bond again. I would just say that if we're pushing for something, we should want the voters to vote for it because it's the right bond versus that it's the right timing. And I think that's the difference that I would just point out.
I will also say we did have open houses earlier on, and people did attend, and we appreciate the attendance that people had at those open houses. People became more engaged after July 15th when the actual bond amount was listed.
A huge shout out to Camas Magazine for putting on that event. You can find a video of the full debate on the Clark County Today YouTube channel. Well, ballots should have arrived in your mailbox by now, and candidates for the November general election are making their final pitches for your vote. This week, candidates for Clark County Council District 4, Camas City Council, Evergreen School Board, and the Port of Camas-Washougal faced off at the Camas Community Library for the third and final candidate forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Clark County. Be sure to keep checking ClarkCountyToday.com next week as we ramp up our preview coverage ahead of the November 5th general election. And be sure to get that ballot in the mail as soon as possible so your vote counts. Well, 2020 is shaping up to be a memorable year for Clark County commuters. Dozens of people attended an open house at the downtown Vancouver Library this week to hear about a number of projects happening on area freeways over the coming year. The folks at Washington State Department of Transportation are going to be busy implementing a number of freeway projects over the next year or so, while Tamara Greenwell with WSDOT says the funding for these projects was approved a number of years ago. Timing is critical before a full closure of the northbound interstate bridge on I-5 for 9 days in September of next year.
Anyone who was around in the late 90s, I wasn't, but I've heard, the traffic backed up. At that time, the I-205 bridge was a good alternate route. Now, oftentimes we see I-205 stacked up just as bad as I-5 during the morning commute. So using that as an alternate route isn't going to be a great fit. So we're trying to put these tools in place, not only during the trunnion closure, but to help reduce the impact of congestion for travelers on southbound I-5 in Vancouver.
One of the projects likely to have the most overall impact on your daily commute is the Active Traffic Management Program, which will include new traffic cameras, sensors, message boards, and ramp meters on southbound ramps from 78th Street, Main Street, SR 500, 4th Plain, and Mill Plain.
By installing ramp meters at the on-ramps, really what our hope is that we'll take away a little bit of the advantage of jumping the queue. And the main reason for that is that when they actually do that, they're causing more problems on I-5 when they go to get back on. And so our hope actually is by ramp metering it, by actually keeping them on I-5, we actually can speed up I-5 in general because we're going to have a little less turbulence coming on there. The ramp meters really help to smooth it out, smooth out cars coming on, and end up allowing the freeway to flow a little smoother.
WSDOT is also working on a project to improve the Mill Plain ramp at I-5 and Mill Plain out to the Port of Vancouver, as well as adding new travel lanes on SR-14 between I-205 and 164th. As we said, they'll be keeping busy in 2020 and want you to stay informed.
But a lot of information is available on our website, so we want people to know what's coming, to ask questions if they've got them in advance of this work being done.
For a full list of area projects and more information about them, be sure to check out the full story at clarkcountytoday.com. Speaking of transportation, that was the topic of this week's fall luncheon for the Columbia River Economic Development Council. Keynote speaker Adrian Piermine, National Director for Smart Cities and Connected Vehicles with DKS Associates, outlined his expectations for things like electric vehicles, self-driving cars, and how we'll get to a place where your car talks to other cars and the environment in order to keep everyone safe. And a panel of experts, including Vancouver Senator Annette Cleveland and C-Train CEO Sean Donaghy, broke down their thoughts on the major transportation issues facing the region and the opportunities for the Clark County area to lead the way when it comes to innovation on how we get from one point to another. Vancouver-based dragon boat racing team Catch-22 hosted a breast cancer survivors and supporters event last Saturday as part of their now ongoing effort to connect survivors and patients with community through the exercise and excitement of dragon boat racing.
We've had a small group of breast cancer survivors on this team, and some have come from other teams, some have just joined the sport. We haven't been a breast cancer team, but it's really caused me to think about it when a good friend of mine was diagnosed just recently, that it's time for us to step up and have more of a presence in Clark County for the breast cancer survivors in this area that maybe don't want to drive across into Portland to paddle dragon boating.
I first found out about dragon boating because I went to Peace Health, to their breast center, and I asked them for an exercise program. And they said, well, we have one, but we think you need to go to support group first. I went to support group, and across from me were sitting two what I considered very young women who are also breast cancer survivors. And they kept watching and watching, and in a couple of weeks they said, we'd like you to join our dragon boat team. And I said, I don't know anything about that. Yeah. Well, they kept at it for a long time, and finally I said, okay, I'll try it. Well, that was it. I tried it, and I never left. I never looked back. I thought it was wonderful.
Well, the group has open practices during the week and is eyeing new competitions and events coming up in the coming months. So check back soon for the full story at clarkcountytoday.com. Now it's time for a sports update from Clark County Today's Paul Valencia.
Hey, Paul Valencia here. I'm at Kiggins Bowl Thursday night. Skyview, Camas, huge football game. Camas led 21-3 at halftime. Camas ended up winning 21-17. Skyview's big comeback did not happen. You can read all about that at Clark County Today. Hey, earlier this week we had notes on the 4 AJSHL, the 3 AJSHL, the 2 AJSHL, and the Trico League. Oh, and we also had a feature on Seton Catholic Cross Country. You can find that at Clark County Today. Oh, and then Friday night, I think we're going over to Hawkinson versus Washougal, a big 2 GSHL football game. And we will see you on Monday with the Monday Sports Update with highlights from the big Camas victory tonight, Thursday. Thursday, it's Friday, I know. And also, we'll have highlights from Hawkinson Washougal. Thanks a lot.
Hey, are you following Clark County Today on social media yet? We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can be the first to see when a story is posted and be part of the conversation about what's happening in your community. And if you have a news tip or story idea, shoot us an email to news@clarkcountytoday.com. For all of us here at Clark County Today, I'm Chris Brown. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a terrific weekend. We'll talk to you next week.